wealth management for 13 years right out of college, and just got kind of bored. So I wanted to look to buy a business, was looking at starting one myself, a franchise route, and then I came across Acquira, and I thought that would be more interesting because I thought, starting a business on my own would be challenging with a newborn, and a franchise probably had too many rules that would probably be also boring. So I found Acquira and thought it was a good opportunity, and I joined, and it worked out very well for me. I mean, it took me probably 9 months to close on a deal. I did 2 LOIs, and the second one went through. And yeah, as of June 5th, last month, it was 2 years. So just 2 years and a month, I bought a business. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have. I think this is a great program. I still stay in touch with a lot of people. I talk to Hayden once a month. We've got a standing call every month. So I'm here to help. Whatever you guys want to talk about, whatever questions you have, I'm happy to talk through it.
Hello.
Kevin, it's Penelope. I just wanted to say the plumbing manual was just published.
Oh, cool.
With the changes that you suggested.
Nice. Good. No, that was pretty good stuff. So I just think I had some minor comments, so that was good.
There's an HVAC one coming out in a few days. That's sitting with John Lamar for comments.
Okay, cool. Yeah, John Lamar too. We talk once in a while. We're talking once a month, but I think we both got really busy. So we connect every now and then just with questions on. We've actually kind of switched the same marketing company at the same time, same technologies and stuff. So I would say, I don't know if any of you have heard that, but similar to how you have these group meetings once a week and you have the Slack channels, once you close on a business, there's other opportunities to work with people like myself or John or other AEs, depending on what business you buy. That is actually super helpful because you just share ideas on what works for you and certain things, and you end up making similar decisions basically, and it's good to have different people to talk to in different industries to see what's working well for each other.
Kevin, can you give us a little more background on the company that you bought, when, and what your process looks like, and where you're at now?
Sure. So when I looked at this business, so my investment thesis was I was agnostic towards the industry. I didn't really care what business it was. I mean, I was looking at flooring companies, roofing companies, fencing companies, you name it. Plumbing was interesting, but I looked at 20 different companies. The first one I had an LOI out was like a high-end flooring company. His numbers were just not right at all, like way off. He was saying that his SDE and EBITDA was $1 million, but it was like flat. So I walked like immediately after I figured that out. That was probably three or 4 weeks of wasted time. But the other part of my investment thesis was 750K SDE, just because I wanted to be able to pull enough money coming from, taking a pay cut from my former life that I could actually survive and pay my bills. So we identified 750 as the baseline for profits for me to kind of come in and pull something that was decent to pay my bills. And I was geographically specific because I had a newborn daughter and I wasn't planning on moving. So I was looking within a 50-mile radius. And I found this deal on DealStream, which I think you all are probably familiar with. I think it's like $20 a month for that one at the time. I had all the search filters saved for BizBuySell, DealStream, maybe another 1 or 2 search engines for businesses. And it seemed to, it just popped up, and I responded very quickly. I think I was actually waiting to get on a plane, and it popped up, and I actually called the broker like immediately. And by the time I landed, he had the NDA in my inbox, printed out at the front desk of the hotel, sent it back, and then, so I think speed is important when you find something, because if there's a good one that comes out, a lot of people are going to jump on it, those that are in the market, and you want to get in pretty quickly, try to build a relationship and get some more details. So his books were very clean. He was doing approximately 75% construction plumbing, 25% service plumbing, so roughly 4.8 in revenue. The year before I bought it, about 1.3 million in service, and the rest in construction plumbing. I didn't know how that's kind of like two businesses in one. So I'm actually in the process of shutting down construction now because it's just cash flow constrained. You need a lot of working capital for it, a lot of headaches, liability, and so forth. And I could touch on that if you'd like to. But since then, I bought two other smaller businesses too. One was for 400,000. One was for 500,000. That were side deals that I just like little bolt-ons that I found. I probably looked at 7 other deals once I bought the business, just that kind of fell in my lap, which is interesting because once you it's a kind of a small world when you buy a business locally. So I rolled all those up into one, and we'll probably be done with construction in the next 30 days or so. But I tripled the service side, so we went from 1.3 to 2.5. This year, we're probably going to do 5 or 6 million in just service revenue. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of where we're at now, high level.
What were your bolt-ons?
Thank you.
What was that, Penelope?
I was going to say, what were your bolt-ons like? Were they like 2 guys and a truck or 2, or how did it work?
Yeah, so one of them was he had 3 different businesses. And it's called backflows. So it's a plumbing component. So a backflow, it's big in Florida for commercial buildings and some residential where it's basically it's a plumbing device that's connected right before the water enters your building, and it's like directly connected to the municipality water when it's coming into your house, or the building. So it's supposed to prevent the water from backflowing into the municipality and possibly, contaminating it. So he had a backflow repair, replacement, and install business. He has a training facility to get people licensed for backflows. And then he had a wholesale place where he would sell backflow parts. So I bought the one piece that was the service repair replacements. So we weren't really currently doing that, but it was very easy to get the license. So I bought his book of business, his phone numbers, his websites, and I took 2 employees. One was a dispatcher and one was his technician. And I just rolled those over to mine, just forwarded all the phone numbers to mine, forwarded his website to mine. And we honored their pricing temporarily, and then we changed it to our pricing. So that actually worked out pretty well. That was pretty seamless. The other one I bought in February of this year. That was another plumbing company, service only, and it was local. There was 2 owners. The one main owner, the majority owner, didn't really get along with his partner. His partner was just younger and kind of he was doing more of the marketing, but he was just spending a ton of money on the marketing, and they just kind of didn't really work well together. So I just got introduced to them from another contact that I had, saying that he was thinking about selling. And we did it off. I looked at his numbers, basically all the training that I got from Acquira. I just looked at his books and I simplified it. I didn't do, quality of earnings or anything like that. I just looked at his 3 years income statements, tax returns, balance sheets. We had a bunch of Q&A back and forth. We met each other. And then I actually ended up hiring him to be my service manager too, to oversee all of my plumbing technicians. So that deal came with him as a service manager, his wife as a dispatcher, which she didn't actually work out. She didn't get along with my girls, so she lasted about a month. And then it came with 4 technicians and like 7 trucks and all his inventory. And same deal. I took his phone number, websites, client base, everything.
So APAs in both cases to buy them?
Yes, APAs for sure. So I did I did an LOI for both of those, and then an APA too. So Kyle Plumbing, my first business that I bought, was a stock purchase. Took everything, EIN, which worked out for the most part. I mean, because he had good credit quality, so I was able to get, lines of credit and stuff pretty quickly. And these other two bolt-ons I did as an asset purchase. It was just easier. So I just identified which assets I was purchasing in the APA. In both cases, I don't know that they actually had their own lawyer, and there was no broker involved. So the multiple I got on the business I just bought was like 1x, and the other one was probably like 2x.
Wow, 1x.
Yeah.
How did you find those deals?
The first one was referred from a plumber of mine. He was, I guess he was just in his warehouse buying some stuff. And he knew him, and he was just like, "Hey, Louie, I heard your boss bought Kyle Plumbing. Like, what do you want to buy my business?" He's like, "I don't know. I'll ask him." And he asked me, and I got him on the phone. We had a conversation. The other one, I guess we both did business with a water restoration company. And the owner of this water restoration company, his brother was one of the partners in this place. And we were just catching up, and he was asking if I was interested in buying another one. I said yes, and then he introduced us to. So it's interesting because it's so hard to find a deal when you're in your shoes, but then once you buy something, and if you just meet a lot of different types of people, conversations tend to come up in the community where if someone's looking to sell, if you kind of vibe with somebody and you hit it off, they'll approach you about it.
How did you finance the purchases?
The first one was 10% down SBA. And then I actually had an angel investor to give me additional working capital for a percentage as a limited partner. The second one was I did 50% down, 50% seller financed. And then I gave that same angel investor a little bit of equity, more equity for additional capital for the down payment. So that's finance over. It was interest only. The bolt-on was interest only for the first year and then payable over 2 years, the remainder. The most recent bolt-on was, I'm trying to think, it was roughly $450,000 purchase price. And I think we put down $350,000. And then the rest was seller financed over 3 years, which is principal and interest, but it accelerates if he hits certain revenue thresholds in the first year. So if he hits a certain amount of revenue in the first 6 months, 50,000 will get accelerated, and then if he hits it again in the following 6 months, the remainder will get accelerated. So he's guaranteed to get the money. It's just a matter if he gets it in a year or 3 years.
Did you have any fall off in revenue in the first quarter, second quarter after you bought?
For which business? The main business?
The main business. So in summer of 23 when you bought it.
Yes, because I think the owner was sick, so I think he started slowing down a bit. There was plenty of construction jobs in the mill. I think it was just a function of, since he had so much construction, construction is a bit different where service is more consistent. So, and summertime here in Florida too, as I learned, like a lot of people, there's snowbirds here, so that they have homes in different places of the country, and they leave in the summertime because it gets really hot. So I kind of bought it leading into that. So for the first quarter, it was a little bit slower. And then, so I kind of learned the business cycles locally down here for that.
Yeah. How many techs do you have now? And what's your tech structure? Like, do you have team leads? How does it work?
So I have 9 techs right now and 2 apprentices. Once construction shut down, I'll probably have 11 techs and 3 apprentices. So that's really the structure. I just one service manager that oversees all of them. So he'll do things like, he'll look at their board and make sure that they're billing out properly. He'll be available for custom estimates that need to get out. issues with customers if they come up, technical questions because he's a master plumber and so he knows his stuff. So if they have a question that they just need to verify or some kind of advanced issue that they're trying to figure out, they'll call him for some solutions. And then I've got 3 dispatchers that take calls and move calls around for them. So most of the techs will just operate in their own truck. The apprentices will just hop around depending on what jobs need help. And if they sell a bigger job where they need an apprentice or 2 to help them, that's where the apprentices will go. They'll just go wherever they're needed the most. And then we've got like a day laborer company that will call if there's a bunch of digging that we need to get done. So we'll pay them like $20 an hour to kind of come out and help with some of the labor like that. There are other companies that have install crews where there's more selling technicians, and if they sell a job, an installing crew will come in and do that. I find that a little bit more challenging to actually put into practice because I pay my guys very well on a commission-based scale. So a lot of them want to do the work themselves. And even if they were smart with their time and they wanted to have an installer, hypothetically speaking, if they're just selling more often, they can probably make more money. But the installer crews, they see what the other guys are bringing in from a revenue standpoint, because it's very transparent with how the commission structure works. They usually don't last long because they want to make what they're making.
Yeah. You had an estimator, I think, when I toured the place, which you would have needed with construction, but you wouldn't need it, would you, once you are doing just retail?
Yeah, we don't really need an estimator anymore. I mean, the service manager does that on one-off scenarios where we need a custom estimate done. But that's probably 10% of his time doing that stuff. You can easily build in, I use ServiceTitan for our system. You can build, there's a price book that you can just build that out.
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin, what was it like? You said you're from financial services, right? So you didn't have any plumbing background. What was it like kind of transitioning into that, and like how did you gain the trust of your employees kind of not knowing anything about plumbing?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think in the beginning, it was really nerve-wracking. I didn't tell anybody on day one when I announced that I'm the new owner that I didn't have any plumbing background. I kind of saved that for later because I didn't want to make them nervous because it sounds kind of crazy at first.
Right.
But then very shortly after, I was just honest with them. So I didn't lie to them. If anyone asked me, I would have told them, but I just didn't lead with that. But I just structured it as it's a positive, right? I'm going to run the business side of things, where the former owner did, he was a plumber turned business owner. So he was kind of like a hybrid where my job here is to run the business, make sure everyone's happy, make sure everyone's making money. I coupled that with, upgrading a lot of stuff. I gave a lot of people raises right off the bat. I brought in a new system software, new wraps for the trucks, gave the guys a lot more better tools, expensive tools on their trucks, new uniforms, new website, new perks. We just did health insurance this year. So I kind of asked them hey, I can do one of 3 things. I can either pay you more money, give you a 401k, or give you health insurance to start. Which one do you want? And they all said money. So then I just focused on money, but I did what I said. I did it pretty quickly. So they all saw their paychecks were going up. So I think, that's how I started, and I just have honest conversations with people, and I just do what I say I'm going to do, and that just builds trust over time. Now, I know enough to be dangerous where I can go sell plumbing jobs and I can quote out plumbing jobs because I built the price book. I had help with, people in the business, but you can't help but learn certain things over time.
So you're flat rate, are you? You're not time and materials.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a big change because the former owner was at $150 an hour, time and material. So for customers and for technicians, it was a huge change. That was really hard initially to kind of convert over. And then I basically doubled rates in 2 months of owning the business and went to flat rates. So we lost a chunk of the business. But the cool part of if you double rates and you lose half your business, you're still going to make twice as much money.
Yeah.
Because the other half still, like, you double the revenue with half the business, and you actually have a lower overhead because you're not running around all over the place doing these smaller jobs. We probably lost 20% of the business when we doubled rates.
What's your goal over the next 2 or 3 years with the business? Do you want to continue to build? Are you looking at an exit at some point?
Yeah, my goal is to just really continue to grow it. I want to get to 5 million EBITDA and then sell it probably.
Mm.
That's probably not going to happen in 2 or 3 years, but it'll probably take 5 to 7.
Mm. You'll make an awful lot of money.
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin, did you do the, I'm sorry, did you do the ACE program with Acquira?
I did, yeah. That was good.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that. That was going to be my question too. What was your experience like? Was it helpful? Andy, Penelope, close your ears.
No, it was super helpful. I think the interesting thing about Acquire is like they listen and they learn as they go. So my feedback was it was slow. I think it was like a 9-month program. I think they've since shortened it. I don't think that was just because of my feedback. It was probably collectively others. But it was very good. I mean, honestly, day one is kind of terrifying as you're just stepping into the shoes of a business that you've never done before. So I had 2 people on the ACE program there with me, and they really helped me kind of run the show, structure our conversations, the group presentation, one-on-one conversations. So they were there for 2 straight days. So everyone got a one-on-one meeting, whether it was with me or somebody else, just to learn what they did, just to kind of make sure that they felt comfortable that I wasn't there to fire anybody. I was just learning from them on how they did things. And then I was just going to kind of be there to support the existing business and make it better. So that was huge for the first 2 days. But then each month, might have been every 2 weeks, but certainly once a month, we had like a catch-up call. And it was a very structured blueprint of like, here's what you should focus on and when, and kind of here's how you should go about doing it. It wasn't like specific instructions like, hey, go, like, here's an SOP on moving to QuickBooks Online or something. It was like, focus on finances. Here's what's important. Focus on marketing. Here's how you should kind of look at that, and like when to do which one, how to document it, how to build leadership teams and stuff. So it was really helpful to have them there through those conversations. Because I think, as I asked for feedback on like my business and others, I think a lot of their comments were like the people that actually just listened to them did well, and the people that were like, no, I'm going to do something else, I don't know that they did so well. So it was very helpful. They're not telling you can do whatever you want. They're not telling you exactly how to do it. It's just, here's a good framework for you to follow, and like however you want to structure your business underneath that framework is totally up to you. So that was very helpful.
Do you think the ACE framework would apply more broadly to other types of businesses outside of home services or specialty contractors?
Probably, yeah. I mean, because a lot of it's pretty generalized. If it's like get a handle on your financials, depending on what the company has in place now. Look at their chart of accounts, look at their income statement. Do you need to tweak it to make sure you've got full clarity there? Marketing too. Depends on your business line, your personal preferences on like how you want to market, whether it's Google, Facebook, Instagram, cold callers, cold mail, business development person. So I think, yes, it can apply to other things. I'm not sure. I made it work for me.
You have a business development person, right, that you just hired? Is he full-time, part-time?
She's full-time, yeah. I recruited her from, she was doing business development for a high-end water restoration company. There's a fire, mold, water issue. Their company comes in, deals with the insurance or the client directly. It's all B2B. So she's just strictly B2B sales, building relationships with property managers, HOAs, businesses. So, I mean, we probably got 20 new customers in the last 2 weeks. She started 2 weeks ago because she already has all these relationships, and it's not a conflict. So she kind of came on board. She's local, so a lot of her former relationships can still work with that company. In fact, with her other company, we're actually they might be our biggest client, actually. So we're working on getting on their vendor platform to get approved. So that's a move that I just did recently, which I'm excited about. I think that should be pretty hyper growth. Commercial and residential are very different beasts, but the plumbing work is similar. So that was just a place where I felt comfortable to be more aggressive on the business development in that business to business world versus going directly to the consumer.
Yeah. Do you do emergency work?
Yeah.
Your 24/7 operation, or how does it work?
We're more like 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. So we can do work overnight. We have done work overnight, but I mean, I'm just honest with people. Like on Google, it'll say we're open 24 hours, but I have somebody personally like answering the phone 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week internally. Then we've got a call service. So that's how we structure it. And that tends to be where a lot of these emergencies happen. You know, once in a while I get a call at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. But what I learned was, I mean, unless you have somebody actually answering the phone, then we don't really see a lot of those emergencies coming in past 10 p.m.
What was your biggest surprise coming into when you first took over the business, and like what's one of the things you weren't really expecting that they caught you off guard?
It was really more the construction side, the payment terms. Because like, for example, service work, like, you know, maintenance, whether it's a home or a commercial business, like I'll give a business like net 30 terms, and they'll usually pay sooner because they have processes in place. Like I got approval, they got to cut checks, they have certain, you know, policies that they abide by. So I'm happy to give them like net 30 terms, where if you go to somebody's house, they're going to pay you right away. You know, either deposit to do work later, or they're going to pay you like that day when you're done with the work. Commercial or construction was really, it was like one day of the month that you're supposed to submit your bills, and then they're supposed to pay you 30 days later, but it was going like 60, 90 days, and it was just kind of crazy. And it was really hard to plan because, you know, you give them a contract, here's our scope of work, and they have like a schedule, but the schedule, as soon as they give it to you, it's outdated. There's just so many uncontrollables that happen. So like the cash flow inconsistencies there was like killing me. So like learning that business was really challenging. So I'm not really an advocate of it. But what I did learn, I think, and Hayden will agree with this, is like you can't really run both. They're like two businesses, construction and service. Like you could probably do one really well, and I just like the service side, where there's another guy in Texas who does construction, plumbing, and he tried to do service and kind of shut it down. So he does really well with the construction side, and he's got that dialed in. And I think we're doing really well with the service side, and we're getting that dialed in. So that's what I learned right off the bat.
Do you have a significant portion of insurance paid work?
No, we don't do any insurance paid work.
Roofing, it's hugely insurance paid.
Yeah. No, yeah, we don't care who pays us as long as we get paid within like 30 days. But usually, so we like, if you're a homeowner, we also do financing. So if you're dealing with an insurance company, that's cool. You can just finance it and get it done now, or just call us when you get your insurance claim money, and then you can pay us then. So we don't, you know, we're not waiting around for insurance dollars or anything like that.
Hey, Kevin, I apologize. I jumped on a little late. So if you've answered this question, just say it and I'll watch the video recording. But, you know, as far as tracking, I guess, technicians and, you know, how much revenue that they're bringing in, like, are you doing, like, have you thought about, or are you doing like revenue per vehicle as like a metric that you're tracking, or like, are you using like ServiceTitan or House Call Pro to see what, you know, your top sales is, or how are you tracking that?
Yeah, I'll show you. You guys see my screen?
Yep.
So, all right, so this is a dashboard with ServiceTitan. This is how I track stuff. What's interesting here is, so this goes back 18 months. This is when we had construction included in ServiceTitan that we started not reporting on it. So this is all service work. And then here's where I bought the other company in February, and we hit record months here with just service. So this just looks at the high level month trend. Here was last week, which is interesting because we did 120K last week in service, where last year we did 186K for the month. So that's pretty cool. I like this trend over here.
But how did you structure your business units? Like, do you do high level, just residential versus commercial, or are you tracking like water heaters and? Okay.
Yeah, so you can do this. This is a cool part because you can do this however you want, right? There's a lot of different consultants you can talk to. I just updated this, so I've got residential and commercial, and then backflow I track separately just because I bought that business separately and I kind of think of it differently. I could have put backflow in commercial and residential too. I just like to show it differently. And then pipelining is something I just started. This is like a new business that I just started within the business, so I want to track that separately. But that's kind of why I have these this way. But then you have other reports that you can look at too. So like underneath these business units, you've got job types where you can run reports on those job types too. So you can see, different types of, you can see camera inspections, backflow installs versus repairs, emergency service call for after hours, fixture install, fixture repair, general service, jetting. We've got a membership, leak detection, repiping, stoppages, toilet installs and repairs, and then water heater installs and repairs. So I can run reports to track all of those things underneath those business units. I just kind of structured it that way recently. But if you look at like KPIs, if you look at the dashboard, so I have a service sales meeting every Tuesday morning, and we go through numbers. So we usually go through what the week looks like. And last week was a really good week, 122K, even with a holiday, which is nice. So we show this dashboard where it shows revenue, total job average, conversion rate, which is really just how many appointments did you have, and of those, how many did you sell? So 75 to 80% is usually where we're at, which I think is pretty good. And then it shows our average ticket. This is what I've been focused on growing over the last year. When I first bought the business, the average ticket was like $200. So I wanted to get it to 1,000, and certain guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys hit it. Josh, his average sale was 4K because he had a big job that he sold. His is going to go up this month too because he's just sold a $34,000 job. So these are the KPIs we see. I mean, you could also see how many options they're showing, because you can show like 3 different options, good, better, best, and ServiceTitan will show you that. So these guys are showing, like Rick shows on average less than 1 option. Sometimes they'll just kind of sell something right off the bat because they know that that's the right thing to do, and they'll sell it. Where if you look at Scott, he shows a lot of options, and Dorson usually sells a lot of options. So this was last week, but you can track this every week, every day, every quarter, every year, and we can go back and see where we're at.
And then how do you handle, like, I would assume that you've got a board set up to where it's like, hey, you've got appointments for the week. When you have a shortfall of appointments, how do you go about, I guess, blocking or like filling that time in the calendar? Like what's...
Yeah, so here's our board. So we've got the apprentices up here, where we'll just put them wherever they're needed. I got 3 guys on training this week for pipelining, so they're out all week. But this is how we stack the board. I mean, there's different codes here, like COD, for example, cash on delivery. This is a repair SJ. That's from Sam Jolly's. That's a Sam Jolly's customer. So that's the most recent business I just bought, Sam Jolly's Plumbing. So I track his revenue, and that's how I track his stuff on how he's going to get paid out, on what revenue's coming in based upon how I structured his deal. Plus, I just like to structure what revenue's coming in from the business I bought. So we pretty much just stack it up. We do 2-hour increments. Sometimes we'll do an 8 to 9 window, and then 9 to 11, 11 to 1, 1 to 3, 3 to 5. And those are normal hours. And then sometimes if the guys want to take more calls at normal rates they can, or we'll charge higher rates for after hours and we'll stock those up here. So the girls just really just kind of stack the board, and there's just constant communication with them throughout the day. Because some job, they might go out and sell a job and they want to do it right now, which we're a fan of. Great. Then we got to push off some other customers off your plate. So it's kind of like a constant chess game that's happening throughout the day with the CSRs or dispatchers. I'm communicating, where are you? They can go out to a job and it's a waste of time. It takes them 10 minutes. They call in and say, hey, can you move something up? I have some free time. Customer cancels, or it's kind of like an internal protocol. So like if the board is stacked today, it's the end of the day, and we want to put something on the board for tomorrow, great. But if the customer's like, hey, I need something now, and we think we're going to lose that lead, the girls will look at the board and see what kind of appointments we have that we can move. If it's, a recurring customer that we know is not going to have a problem moving, or if it's like, say we get a call for a water heater needs to be replaced, it's going to be $2,500. Great. And we see like a little toilet repair, we'll just replace that with this. And if we lose that customer, whoops, like we don't want to lose customers, because I think every opportunity could be a big opportunity. But there's kind of a handful of things. It's almost, you can get very granular with it and have like a call booking matrix, which I've seen. I think it's too complicated. The girls are you can just kind of use common sense with moving some of these things around. But does that answer your question as far as how we're scheduling the board?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you roll out any incentive compensation towards, like, I guess any of the, indirect labor, like for call bookings or call booking percentages or anything like that?
Yeah. So yes and no. I mean, you're saying for the non-technicians?
Yeah, because technicians, I think you mentioned that there's commission structure involved.
Yeah. So basically, yes, and we're actually looking at making that better now. So here's some call metrics here as far as how many leads we have, how many were booked. This isn't exactly right, because the girls, what we're working on now is having the girls go in here at the end of the day and monitor this stuff to make sure that they're tracking their leads properly. Like, was this actually a lead or was it not? And which ones were booked? And of those leads that aren't booked, like, what can we do anything better to get them booked? But you can see each, here's two CSRs here. Usually I have 3. Like, you've got these abandoned calls. We got to go through and kind of redo them, but they have their own scorecards too. So Shannon's in the process. She's building out an SOP on how to do this, and they meet every Friday morning, and this is going to be their weekly metrics to go through, and they're going to have like weekly goals, daily goals, monthly goals, and there'll be like some kind of commission in place on a monthly basis for them. I also have them call on any open unsold estimate, and if they sell it, if they book that unsold estimate, they get 2% of the revenue as commission. So there's those little incentives in place right now.
Nice.
And again, you can do those things a lot of different ways. That's just, I've spoke to a lot of different people. How do they do it? So there's really no right or wrong reason. Some kind of have more pros and cons, but that's what we're working with now, to answer your question. I think it's good, because if you just get hourly employees and they don't have any like goals to hit, any positive reinforcement, I feel like they're just, it's going to be a temporary job for them. And you want to try, regardless of what their role is, I think everyone should have a little bit of upside incentive to make more money and do better.
Need to gamify.
Did you also get the marketing pro for ServiceTitan, or?
Yeah, I had that in the past, and then I got rid of it, and then I just got it back. It's actually really good. It's expensive. Well, it's actually not that bad, I don't think. It's like $1,200 a month, but you can track that stuff through here, through marketing. And I'm building that out now. So you could do like, I'll send out like 3 emails per open estimate, and you can set like how many days, like 3 days later after it's sent, 7 days later, 14 days later, and you can create the email copy that you want. And then you can also do it via text too. And there's a bunch of different things you can do with Marketing Pro to target your existing customer base.
You have a,
Would it,
sorry,
go ahead. I've been asking a lot of questions in a row here, so go ahead.
you said that you started a membership plan too, monthly?
Yes. Yeah.
Is it tiered? Like, do you have gold and silver and platinum, or how does it work?
Yeah, I have gold and I have VIP. So I used to have 3 tiers, and I don't think it really worked that well. So I think we got it dialed in. So I have gold that's for residential. You can look on our website, kyleplumbing.com. It's called the Kyle Club. So it's just one for residential. It's $148 a year. I give your money back in coupons twice a year, $74. Actually, I got to send that out by MRP Pro. I'll give them a digital coupon and credit their account. And then around December, around the holidays, give them their money back. So it comes with priority service, 10% off everything. You get a home inspection at any point throughout the year, a home plumbing inspection, and waived dispatch fees. So it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, so I think we sold 40 of those last month. And then we have VIP for commercial buildings, which is $99 per building, per location.
Mhm.
And there's no inspection. You just get 10% off priority service and waived dispatch fees.
Right. You find it makes your customers stickier.
Yeah. At
Yeah.
this point, I give it to, like, with my business development person, we give that to them for free because it's a competitive. Right now we're doing that. So my goal is to just get like thousands of members, and then I can go back to them and be like, hey, you like working with us, right? Instead of free, we're going to do like $250 a year. And they'll probably say yes. And there'll be a whole bunch of free money.
Yeah.
You dealt with the licensing requirements that the plumbing industry takes?
Yeah, so every state's different. In Florida, you don't need someone working for you. You just need someone to actually have the license. So when I bought Kyle Plumbing, the owner's son-in-law had the license, and he just continued to hold it. And I give him money every month to do that and sign off on the permits. Works out very well. So it just depends on what state you're in and what the requirements are. So in Florida, you just need one master plumber license. Nobody else needs to be licensed underneath that. So like we have people that are licensed apprentices, licensed journeymen, but it doesn't matter. That's just like their personal skill sets.
What would you do if you lost your qualifying individual?
That would suck. There's other people. There's like 2 other people I could call to use their license. I think in Florida, like if they were just like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore for some weird reason, then I think they have to give me 60 days notice. But I would feel comfortable that they would let me find somebody first before moving on another direction.
Mhm.
So, and I think, especially just speaking of Florida, like I think people are happy to do it as long as you're not putting them at risk. Because if you're doing stuff above board and you're getting permits when you should be and you're doing quality work, like they don't want to deal with that stuff. Because if they have to come and go before a board and have discussions like in a courtroom kind of situation, their license is on the line. And it's also just a pain in the butt to do that. So I think as long as you're doing stuff above board, you're fine. Otherwise, I don't see a reason why they wouldn't want to sign off on permits for you for a paycheck.
How do you handle, so like I live in the Colorado area, in the Denver area, and HVAC and plumbing is very competitive here. There's a ton of people advertising on the television, et cetera. Are you finding that as well in your area? And if so, how are you competing with that? And what do you do to compete?
Yeah, so I mean, it's very saturated down here too. I just look at it, not to be an ass, but like I just feel like I'm just smarter than a lot of these other guys that run their business. Like, you got kind of like a handyman price. You got private equity group guys and then you got like kind of us in the middle, and we're kind of morphing more towards the expensive private equity group side. But on the smaller side, like they're charging really, really low rates, and they're just living paycheck to paycheck. So like to me, that's just an easy sell. But it's like if you want the lowest price, it's not us. So maybe 20% of our customers, if we get, like we have really good reviews online, but any of the bad reviews is usually price. And I'll take it. Like if I have 80% people love us, I'll take it all day long. So I kind of combat that with that. You got a ton of people in the handyman space, a guy in a truck, and they're just, they're plumbers and they don't necessarily know business, because like a lot of people are of the mindset, like, find out what other people charge and charge that or charge less. You should really figure out what you need to charge to make some money and charge that, and then just show up, right? So we pick up the phone, we show up, we look professional. So to me, that's half the battle, right? And then we do good work. And since I pay my guys like top tier, I'm basically taking a lot of the good plumbers from other companies. So if I can continue to do that, our quality will shine and our personalities will shine, and how we handle those customers will shine in a big way. And then you got the private equity groups that probably have more money, charge a little more rates, but their culture internally is probably not as good. So we just kind of sell to both of them. So that's the biggest competition. Like, get a lot of handymen, and people think plumbing, everything should cost like $150. And like the minimum bill you're gonna get from me is like $175, and it's gonna be for like 15 minutes.
Okay. You may have already answered this because I came in late too, but what are you doing to market against that? I mean, against the private equity, against the handyman or anything? Are you just accepting calls? And
so I have a marketing agency, and what we're doing right now is really only SEO and local service ads and Google Maps. That's it. So there's still a budget there that we can continue to spend more than we're spending now, but we're really fine tuning how we're handling those calls. Everything's tracked. We can see how many like money in that we're spending on leads, how many leads came in, how many leads did we close, how much money do we make from those leads, and then we can fine tune everything in the middle, basically figure out like, well, where are we losing this customer and why. So that's my personal preference. Focus on one thing, get really good at it, and continue to maximize that until you can't. If you maximize that and you can't spend anymore, then it's probably time to look somewhere else. I've explored and that's just something I realized recently, and it's actually been working. Versus before, I was all over the place, like Facebook, Instagram, Google, LinkedIn. And it's just like too much. Like, you don't need to do that much, especially in like a local services business. It's like a lot of people from a residential side are going to say, I need a plumber. They're going to look to see who's on like the front page at least, or like the top few, and they're going to look at your reviews. So you have a good website, SEO, maps, have good pictures, good content on your Google program, your Google business page. So I focus on that for residential stuff right now, and then I just hired a business development person to go after businesses, commercial relationships, which that's just a different animal in itself. Like, some people like will find you, but that's very much a relationship, political game. And it's kind of like, who do you know? Call them, have us do their plumbing, and they're like, oh, cool, I know Hillary. Yeah, we're gonna put you on our vendors list, and then that's how we're kind of tackling that. At least right now, that's what I'm doing. But it's constantly getting good data. So if you have good data, you can make decisions off of that data, like what's working, what's not working, right?
Yeah. Okay. And I'm curious. So the trenching business that you're starting, kind of as a side, was that a spinoff from work that you've been requested in the past, or was that just an opportunity you see out there?
Both. I mean, it's just something we weren't doing, and I guess my guys kept getting questions on it. So when I brought up that concept to them, they thought it was a good idea. It's very advanced, detailed, tedious.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 3 guys that I just sent to Sarasota for a week, which is going to hurt us this week from revenue. But like, if they actually learn it well and they can start selling those jobs and doing those jobs, I mean, it's a no-brainer. So that's also part of my differentiator. Like, a lot of these private equity groups are not training their guys. They're just recycling in and out the door, in and out the door. They're not really caring about training them. So, these guys, they're gone for a full week, all expenses paid, breakfast, lunch, dinner, gas, hotel, and they're going to come back and hopefully make some more money.
Right. So is that the type of thing where it's under roads? You're trenching, you're drilling under roads and using the big equipment like the ditch witch and those kind of pieces of equipment, or is it smaller than that?
No, this is more 2 to 6 inch pipe to start to get our feet wet, and it's pipe lining, so there's no trench. It's trenchless, so there is no trenching. So think of a 4-inch sewer line going underneath your house, from underneath your bathroom stacks, underneath your house, through your driveway out to the front of the main water tie-in.
Okay.
So it just depends. Some people's sewer line goes out the side of their house and you can just dig a ditch and replace the sewer line, dig up a cast iron, PVC, whatever, replace it. Or what pipelining is better for is if it's underneath your home, we can then go put a new pipe inside the pipe, clean it out, put a new pipe inside of it, and there's no demo whatsoever. So if it's underneath your home, underneath nice landscaping, pavers, driveway, your living room floor, like the only way to get access to that if you didn't do pipelining would be to destroy your floors, replace the pipe, and then spend all that money putting it back together, or tunnel underneath your house, which also probably costs about 50 grand just to tunnel. So when you look at it that way, lining's better if you can do it. And then it's just a matter of which lining company do you use.
Interesting.
Do I sound like a
You
plumber?
mentioned you know, the $150 an hour classic, and then that you mentioned you moved away from T&M over to flat rates. What are you doing to reconcile? Hey, is my flat rate good, and am I hitting my margins?
You look at your income statement, that's, I mean, tried and true. Basically every month when your numbers come in, you'll look at your
Monthly.
your net numbers pretty much.
And you're reconciling that with
Yes.
do your service people, when they sell the packages, are they have a range that they can sell within, or is it, hey, this is the price and you just sum it up and that's the total thing for that job?
So 90% of the time, it's all built in the price book, right? So if I pull up a water heater, we're assuming it's 2 hours. If we're doing a water filtration system, like a whole house, it's going to be like 4 or 5 hours. So it's already built in the flat rate pricing. So it's got you're in the flat rate price book, regardless of what system you use. You basically assign the average time that you want to use, and then you put all the materials in with whatever markups you want. So it's just one little buttoned up package. But then I've got the guys know where to look to see how many hours we're assuming for that price book. So they've got there's levels in ServiceTitan price book, which is pretty good. So there's 4 levels. So if level 1 is default, if they click level 2, it goes up 30 minutes. Level 3 is an hour. Level 4 is an hour and a half. So they know that if they want to go up, they can, for whatever reason, they can do that. If it's a more difficult install or whatever the reason. There's also there's like time and material options in there that have like specific coding, so the customers don't really know it's time and material. But if they know it's going to be like difficult access or something like that, they can go in and customize that. But if it gets something that's outside of the realm of like pointing and clicking, that's where my service manager comes into play, and that's where his skill sets come in, figuring out, hey, how many hours are we thinking this is going to take? And that's just sometimes, like, as long as you win more than you lose, you're good, right? So you're not going to be always spot on, but that's where there should be an average amount of time to do a specific job, and most of the time you should get that right.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So monthly, yeah, it shows up in your income. You should see it there, and it should be balancing correctly. But I also love what you're doing is you're also giving your employees room to say, look, boss man says 2 hours for this hot water install. Well, I'm standing here, and this thing is wild. And they can add hours to it because they're standing in front of it. So you have a nice autonomy there for them to price it too. That's great. Thanks.
Right. Yeah, you're welcome. And that takes time to train on. So like our weekly training, it's like sales and operational things. And that's kind of some of the stuff we'll go through.
Yeah.
How many hours are you working right now, Kevin? Like, are you having a fairly calm time 2 years in?
I probably work at least 50, maybe 60 hours a week. I'm also the kind of person that actually likes to work. So like, I just, we're in like hyper growth mode. So I'm like obsessed with the business, and like, I'm always thinking about it. So I genuinely like to work. It doesn't feel like work. Could I hire somebody to do some of the stuff that I do? Yeah, I have, but it's, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Kevin, you had also mentioned about how your per ticket sales were pretty low. I'm curious, what specifically did you do as you started lifting those up?
Moving the flat rate price book helped as like the first thing that I did. And then off of that, just training the guys to sell, basically showing them to do options. For example, if they go in to repair a toilet, cool, that's great. That's what the customer called you for. Put that as an option, but then put a second option like toilet replacement. So at least show two options, and not be a scumbag. Basically, I teach them to sell by educating and just like reading the room. So we go over like personality traits and stuff and like how to have those conversations. So it's a long-term process. You guys get it, you guys don't. But now my group of guys that I got are pretty solid. As you've seen, their average tickets like $1,000 last week, which is really great to see. So it's kind of a handful of a bunch of things, but the price book I think is their biggest tool to sell stuff. So making sure it makes sense, get feedback from them. And they give me feedback. They'll be like, hey, dude, we need something. We need this in the price book, or like this price is in there and it's too high, or this is way too low. And then we tweak things as, that's like a living, breathing organism. Like we tweak stuff pretty regularly, depending on what's going on.
Got it. And was that something that you naturally came in with that skill around? Was that something that the acquirers had helped you with, or was that something you just jumped in and started figuring out as you did it?
Kind of like a smorgasbord of stuff. Like when I was in wealth management, like I did a lot of sales training, and like my objective was to sell people to give me their entire life savings in 2 meetings. Again, not as a scumbag, right? As like in a good way of educating, building rapport and stuff. So I'm like, if I can do that, I can teach someone how to sell a toilet, right? So kind of putting in, like simplifying the sales process. We've used Blue Collar Success Group, which is huge for plumbing, HVAC, electrical. So they have some consulting that you can do one-on-one for yourself, which I think is awesome. Honestly, if you guys buy a business in one of those 3 avenues, like sign up for one-on-one coaching, because they'll go through a lot of that stuff with you, how to use ServiceTitan or whatever your system is, and like it's good operational efficiencies. I don't listen to half of what they say, because some of it's like too complicated for people to actually do on a regular basis, but some of the stuff I like. And that's the cool part about being your own boss. You can do whatever you want. So I kind of do a lot of different research across the board, and you kind of just go with what works. And then there's some other people too, like your plumbers too, or your employees. Like they'll have different experiences. Like Mark, when I bought Sam Jolly's, he's been huge. We sat in our office on a Saturday for 4 hours and kind of combined price books and tweaked it, which was painful, but he gets it. So if he sees something off, he'll be like, oh, dude, this is way too low. We got to go up. I'm like, okay, cool. So I give him the freedom to go change stuff as he wants to,
All right. So do you happen to have any last minute questions for Kevin?
I have a question. When you implemented ServiceTitan, I think you went from something pretty hokey that they were using before. Did you do any migration of customers, or did you just add people as they called in?
Yeah, we migrated. I mean, ServiceTitan has a team to help you do that. I mean, we kind of botched it because only one contact came over, where like, there's multiple phone numbers, multiple contacts, multiple emails per customer. So that was kind of a shit show. But yeah, you can migrate stuff over depending on as long as there's a system that they have data in, you can transport it over, because it's all like Excel based behind the scenes when you're doing that stuff. And whether it's ServiceTitan or elsewhere, they always have an onboarding team that'll show you like what their template needs to look like in order for your data to get into their system well. So you can do that. I mean, I was approached by another guy looking to sell his business like 3 months ago, and he's all paper. He has no system at all. And I was like, I'm out. Like, you can give me your business if you want, but like, I'm not. Like, what am I buying? I have no data to look at, but like, I'm not going to have somebody go in there and like type in every single person and just hope that somebody's going to call me and like I know who they are. So yeah, I mean, not saying you can't really buy a business like that. You can, and that's a huge upside there by moving all that stuff over. It's just a heavy lift. But I mean, the guy that I bought this business from, he had a system where it was internal, but all their invoices were paper. They had laptops bolted into the chairs of their trucks and printers bolted into the seat of their trucks too, and they're doing like time and material invoices, printing them out, and then bringing them back and reconciling them. But you still had a system behind the scenes of inputting that data. So we kind of we had like a hybrid approach to that. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. And before we wrap up, just to also let you guys know, next week or our next guest will be Chris Mooney. He'll be diving into Acquira Capital's investment strategy. So please feel free to let me know if you do have any specific questions for him so that we can shape the next session regarding your questions. So thanks again, Kevin, for sharing and for joining us today. It's really an insightful session. So, yep, see you again next time, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.